Good evening and welcome to Conversations with Taz. And tonight we are going to tackle racism in the military and we're going to mix up the panel just a little bit. But if you're not sure what I'm talking about, let me bring on my wonderful and very well equipped panelist. Let's start with the big bro. Introduce yourself, please.
Well, y'all know me. I'm a DA Select. Y'all also know me as Lloyd. Did the military for 21 years. Um, yeah, started out, well, actually, being in the military was my first actual trip ever to the South. Because I was born in Denver, raised in San Diego. So my first actual experience with people in the South was when I went to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I was there for 6.5 years. Then I was actually stationed in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was there for 3 years. And so that was my welcome to the South. Things are what they say they are in the books because they were just totally different from me before I went.
Well, you not only had experience in the South, but you had combat experience. But we're going to double back to that and we'll talk about how it was outside of the United States versus the South in the United States. But let me go ahead and introduce my other guest, who I am so blessed, so humbled, the realist. Go ahead.
Thanks. So not a whole lot to say. So I'm not as, like DA Select over there. So me and him go way back too. But just a quick brief about myself is I'm about to retire. I'll have 20 years in the service, starting my next chapter of my life, moving down to the South in Alabama, and we'll be joining ATF for gun crime forensics. And just bought a house, got the family. We're just ready to start a new chapter. And Lloyd offered me to come on one of these last time. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Got a lot of information and education out of it. And just here, happy to be here.
Wait, hold on. Wait a minute, babyface. Did you say 20 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm not gonna do what people do to me. I'm gonna believe you. Okay. Because when Lloyd called me, and you just said 20 years. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, Benjamin, but okay, Benjamin Buttons. Okay. Okay, Benjamin Buttons.
Benjamin Buttons on top of my head says otherwise.
Oh, trust me, I got a nephew that is 1 year into Marines boot camp, and he been bald as a baby's booty since his junior year in high school.
Oh goodness!
So I don't gauge age by that, but I'm just looking at your face. Okay. I don't know if I'm just the old lady.
Oh,
or if y'all just look young.
Oh, stop it, Taz.
Oh, you the big brother, so I can say that. I'm the middle child in this situation. But let's come back to you, big bro. I know that you had your first experience in the South, and you and I have had extensive conversations with my first experiences in the South, but we both had experiences outside the United States and inside the United States, but I wasn't in the military. So being in the military, your experience in the South and your experience outside of the country, how did that compare?
Well, it's like, honestly, it's like apples and bananas. It's totally different. Because, man, I tell you, it's crazy, right? So my first time being in another country was actually Germany, right? And Germany has a totally different, because I guess we weren't there long enough. How like Erica's in the UK, who lives there. There's more things that she can see as far as the overt or covert racism that's there. Going through the South, my mom prepared me as I was driving. It was funny because my mom told me, before you get to Mississippi, this is literally what she said. Before you cross over to Mississippi, fill up your gas tank so you can drive all the way through. And that's what I did. I got to Alabama. It was really late at night. And I said, Mom, I'm going to Alabama. And she said, stop and put on your military uniform. I was like, my military uniform? She said, yeah, put your military uniform on. So I pulled into this place. I walked in with my bag, and it was a gas station, and it was like, you know how like the DJ, everybody hearing a song, you walk in, it's like just skips off the thing.
Oh, you get the skirt?
Yeah, and that's how it was. So I go in there and I change, and I walk out in my uniform, and everybody's like, all the people that was like skirt, they looked at me different. And I don't know because the uniform was on, but people seem to treat you different from than how you were before you was in uniform. So it was more positive before I went into that bathroom than when I came out. Now, when I think back, I wonder if I'd have came out wearing the same attire, if I'd be here today. That's just the realness of it. And so
I'm gonna tell you no.
Well, right. So
because even in the mid 2000s,
and this
y'all don't judge me because I know I'm a woman. But and Lloyd will tell you, if you send me an SOS, I'm coming. Yes, I know that I'm a woman. Yes, I know physically my restraints, but I also know that from 500 feet, I'm still deadly. So don't fuck with me. I was driving through Mississippi. Thank God I had picked up another friend because we were going to Texarkana, Texas. I swapped cars with my brother who happened to be a cop. He has FOP plates. I can tell you definitively those plates are what kept us safe. Because you could see the cops swarming and seeing those official FOP plates and not wanting to fuck with the car. So yeah, if you wouldn't have changed, yeah. She gave you good advice, but I always say your mama gave you good advice. But and and Lloyd, once again, who's her favorite?
You are.
So, the realist, your experience in the military, what have you witnessed that you're comfortable with speaking on? I don't want you to talk about anything that you're not comfortable with speaking on.
Right. You know what? I'm pretty comfortable. So I got 30 days left. I mean, it's going to be hard to touch me at this point. Okay. But so I haven't really experienced things like that with Lloyd. But what I can tell you, what I've seen in active duty side of it is the racism part that comes down. And I even seen it happen to Lloyd. I didn't see it happen to Lloyd, but Lloyd told me about it later. And that was with a certain individual that wrote him an evaluation. He was, didn't really get the remarks that he wanted on there, even though that he had it laid out saying, hey, this is what I've done. But for some reason, it didn't make it on that evaluation. I think one of the biggest things that I think the Army is missing is talking to the black soldiers. No one is even saying, like, when all that stuff was going down, when all this, riots are in the street, people attacked Washington, D.C., right? No one's asking the black American of how he feels or, hey, what's going on about this? Actually, you're told, hey, you can't talk about this. You're not allowed to have a political stance, right? But then again, I see the political stances in the office, right? And people talking, and they're not black, they're white. So why is it they're allowed to talk, but when you see a congregation of black men or women or servicemen, servicewomen, talking, then it's like, hey, we can't talk about that. Now I've seen that personally. So, yeah, that's kind of my experience on things of that nature. And so I just want to add something else to that, just real quick.
Go ahead.
The Army sets trends. The Army, we should be at the forefront of this. And me and Lloyd just have conversations about this. We should be, as leaders, at the forefront, talking to them, make that change, make it where, hey, you're allowed to talk about this. If you can't talk about it in a public setting, have a forum so where they can go and say, hey, you know what, this is the discussions that we're going to have in the battalion classroom. This is what it's about. If you want to show up and talk, show up and talk. If you don't, you don't. Even if they do that, I feel like they might be singled out or reprimanded. Oh, well, he went to that discussion. So I'm afraid of that too. But on stances like SHARP, on stances like EO, things like this, like Army has set trends. And I really think that they're dropping the ball on this one.
Yeah.
Well, the realist, I have a question. I know I've been out now since 2018. What were active duty members saying about General Milley's remarks about critical race theory?
That was my next question. I'm glad you asked that.
So when those remarks came out, it was almost like a ghost town. So there wasn't a whole lot of open discussion about it. I know the email went out and it reached everybody. And then I'm wanting to say, so now, yes, I'm still active duty, but don't get me wrong, I've also been blessed where my chain of command is like, hey, you can kind of, handle your stuff and come in when you can. So I kind of pop in the office and out for the past probably about 90 days, so they let me kind of do my own thing. But when General Milley released that about the critical race theory, honestly, I had to educate myself on it first. So I had to go there and be like, well, what's he talking about? So I had to go YouTube critical race theory, and I actually just watched videos on it, but I didn't hear any sidebar conversations about it, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So it sounds okay. I know that between the different divisions of the United States military, there's certain jokes that go around. Now, personally, in my family, I heard that Army stands for ain't ready to be a Marine yet. Do not come for me. I said, that's what I heard. Do not come for me. And Lloyd, don't try to be a snitch and tell on me. I said, that's what I heard. But it seems like all of these little sayings, it seems like the higher ups ain't ready to be real yet. Because if you can't deal with what's actually occurring in real time in your country, how are you going to tell somebody else that you need to occupy their country to correct them? Have you ever felt like that while you were deployed? Like, why are we here correcting them and we haven't corrected us?
Well, in the military, we have certain rules and regulations and guidelines, and we always say you check down, not up. That means leadership goes from the top down, and they don't want to hear anything from the bottom up. Most of the time, if you can shut down a leader, and this is just from my experience, and this is where you come with toxic leadership, is that if you have these type of conversations with the leader, and let's just say if I was still in right now and I had a critical race theory conversation with a leader, that conversation would actually start with the leader saying his thoughts. But then once I give him my thoughts and I give backing behind it, at that point, the conversation becomes hostile.
No, I understand that. I'm saying internally. Have you ever felt like we haven't corrected our problems in the United States, but they're sending me here?
I see what you're saying. So, okay, so you're saying before we deploy, we're sitting here thinking, well, there's problems in the United States before we deploy. That goes with everybody. That always happens, especially if you think that you're going because it's unjust. See, so it all depends on where your parameters and how you think. Now,
but did you ever feel that way?
No, because when so this is where patriotism comes in, and I'm speaking for myself. When 9/11 happened, we were all pissed. We were all ready to go. That's just how it was. It was like, man, we're attacking our soil. It wasn't. You didn't have this. And I'll tell you this: I wasn't woke at the time. So for me, there was no real, okay, I'm a black man in the Army. It was, I'm an American in the Army, and they just attacked us on our land. Let's go. Now, pour the wokeness juice inside me years later. And Wes will tell you, I became very woke right before I met him and stuff like that. So about 7 years back now, right? So after I started studying and reading about 7 years back, you take that me back then, I might have been one of the guys talking about, man, I ain't going to fight that war. They didn't even give me, but then again, I would have been like, man, they still killing us on the streets. They're still doing this. So that because I was always very boisterous. I was always very boisterous. I mean, people could tell me at ease. At ease means be quiet, and I'm still running my mouth. I mean, because that's just how I was.
But with that being said, and I do thank you for being as honest as you are being, Lloyd. Can we go back to what made you join the military in the first place?
I mean, I had a child when I was in 10th grade.
Okay,
I mean,
you saying it like everybody knows that.
Well, I'm saying, like, for me, it was I had a child in the 10th grade. I kept on seeing people who graduated from my high school still around my town, walking around. We had somebody living under a bridge at the pier. I mean, so for me, it was more, man, I need to do something with my life. Now, I could have went to college. I actually played football in high school, and I was okay. I wasn't gonna get no scholarship to no big college, but I could have still went to college. My grades were good enough. But at the end of the day, I was like, dude, I think my brother. I always say this story. My brother laid the platform for the family. My brother graduated high school. He left the house. Because we didn't have a father figure in the household. My brother laid that platform. When you graduate, you got to go. You can't live in mama's house. So when I graduated, man, I remember walking to my mom, hey, I leave for the military in 2 weeks. My mom was like, what? I was like, yep, leave in 2 weeks. I literally walked into a recruiter's office and I was like, yo, I want to sign up. He's like, you ready to go take a test? I went down, took a test. My mom didn't even know I took a test. Went down, took the ASVAB.
And I can contest to this because I've heard her tell her version of the story.
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna say for the rest of 2021, Lloyd better shuck and jive.
Well, I mean,
he better shuck and jive.
She loves me. That's how it was. I walked in and I said, hey, Mom, I leave for the Army in 2 weeks. And she was like, you leaving where? Yeah, I'm leaving. I told her, Mom, I got to go make life. I have a child that is now 2 years old. I cannot ask for allowance from you to buy diapers no more.
But here's the thing. I love that you say that because I'm going to digress for just a little bit and then I'm going to come back to the main topic. Because within the Black community, there are so many tales and so many tropes and so many misconceptions that the mothers and the fathers want to push us out so quickly. But I've talked to your mother and you know that I have. And she never had the idea to push you all out.
Oh, no.
Y'all had that idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that I'm saying this because that trope has been running wild. That when we get to a certain age, we're pushed out. And that's not the truth. Okay. But also, the realist, I want to ask you the same question. What made you join the military?
Well, when the attack happened, I wasn't quite in yet. So he actually, Lloyd, correct me if I'm wrong, you was already in when 9/11 happened.
Because he's an old man. Just go back.
So yeah, he got me a couple years. But if I was to sit here and say like, hey, I'm going to join out of patriotism, that would be just a bold-faced lie. It wasn't because of 9/11. Like I just suddenly became super patriotic and went down to the recruiting office and joined the Army. No, that's not what happened. The truth of the matter is I was a punk kid. I was living on the streets. I got caught with a 38 special snub nose. And there was a guy that I don't know who you let borrow a gun. I don't know. But my roommate thought it was a good idea. And he let somebody borrow a gun, which was used in an armed robbery. And then our fingerprints were on the gun. So I actually was one of those guys that a prosecutor was like, hey, man, you're going to get in big trouble for this. We understand that you didn't do the liquor store, but you're still underage with a firearm. It's like, so you
was in like.
Oh, I was done.
You was ghetto.
Oh yeah, no, I was done.
Yeah,
and I was doing
ghetto. What the hell?
Hey,
I'm over here clutching my pearls in my purse as you telling the story.
No, I'm about to reach through this. No.
My shit costs too much. And my big brother will tell you I got more firearms than him.
So the next thing you know, I'm at a recruiting office. They were like, hey, this is not going to be on your record if you join the Army. And that's literally what got me in a recruiter's door.
Hold on. Can you repeat that last part one more time?
The prosecutor was like, "Hey, if you do this, as in service, then this won't be on your record."
Go to work, go to jail.
Yeah.
So we
that
have
was the old
children
thing. Yeah.
that
Mhm.
need to go to college that join. We have children and young adults who I still say are children because I even consider myself a child until I cross 30. That's just me. Everybody else can feel how they want to feel about stuff. That are being told, oh, if you join, you don't get X, Y, and Z. So you're pushed into a system that, from everything that I've researched and from our last conversation, is perpetuated racial tropes. So how do you balance that with your own personal morality? And I'm completely not being facetious. I'm asking a general question.
So it was a way out of the situation, and honestly, I just didn't even hesitate. And not only that, but I mean, I see my life going down the wrong direction anyway. And I was like, well, maybe this will be good. So maybe the Army would be good for me. And I didn't join right away. Actually, the recruiter had to almost like stalk me. You know, it took him, but I was still smoking weed on the streets. And he would come up to me to my door. My mom would answer the door and like, nope, he's not here. And then he'd have to come back the next day. He'd come back the next day, come back the next week. And then finally he caught me when I was there. And then he was like, get in the car. And I was like, okay. And then I went in the car and he took me right to, it was Alabama A&M University because I didn't have a GED. I dropped out when I was 16. So he took me to Alabama A&M University and paid for my GED and passed the GED test. And well, 20 years later, I'm retiring.
Wait. Hold on. Wait a minute. Time out.
You tell me I'm dead in front of his
Hold on. I got a few. Wait. I had questions written down, but sorry, this is an 18 and over station. Fuck them questions. I got more questions. So basically, you were stalked into the military?
Well, so I was a recruiter too, so I wouldn't say stalked, but he was very persistent.
He stalked you. He did. I don't know if you saw the show You with the dude Joe. He was your Joe.
But Taz, but even though he stalked him, if you look at the ending part of it, is that he paid for him to take a test to better himself and pushed him into a life into where, yes, there's dangers of deploying, but like I tell people, I don't.
Nah, big bro, let me explain something to you. Because as a woman who's been stalked, when I finally gave up and let my stalker catch me, if you knew the things that he paid for and the doors that he opened, y'all was still stalked.
But what I'm saying is,
y'all just didn't get the pretty things that I got.
No, we understand that, but I'm just saying, but being
y'all got PTSD and I got investment bonds.
Okay, now let me say this though. Let's rewind back. I'll tell you this. I can almost guarantee that over 70% of people who join the military did not join because they're patriotic.
No, they were stalked. Evidently.
No. People
the
join.
Marines are the worst at it.
Right. People join because of the college.
No, this is the 17th person that I've talked to that said that they were stalked, basically, because they never want to admit.
I wasn't stalked.
Wait a minute, hold on.
I was talking to him.
I talked to 17 different people. The realist is number 17. I didn't include you in this.
Okay.
They don't want to admit that they were stalked, but it was like the little extra that you put on a blunt when you get ready to roll up your weed. Okay. And I'm gonna use this analogy because I'm a weed head.
I wish Marvin was here so he could explain. He was a recruiter too. But go ahead.
I was a recruiter.
I know you were.
Yeah, but
y'all trying to get up.
Anywho, Marvin ain't gonna argue with me, but hold on, let me finish with the analogy. When you sprinkle a little extra in there, you roll it up, you smoke, you get comfortable. And as you're in that comfortable state, there's a whole lot of stuff that sounds really good to you. So, in any toxic relationship, when somebody gives you gifts, and the gift could be paying for a test, giving you housing, paying for a college education, that's still a gift. That's still some shit that a stalker does when they woo you into a fucked up relationship. Because
Now-
which one of you, I don't see any of y'all that are saying what you're saying that decided, oh, when it's time for me to retire, I'm gonna re-up.
What do you mean it's time for you to retire? You're gonna re-up?
Well, you got to re-enlist to retire. So
Yeah,
you signed that dotted line probably about 3 or 4 more times.
Exactly. Yeah, I signed
But
up
what-
more than once.
Hold on, Lloyd. Right now, would you go back into the army?
Like right now?
No.
Negro, that's what I just said.
Oh, why would I go right now? I did my time.
No,
She said, scratch that time.
no,
Like if I could go back in time, would I do the same thing?
no. Right now,
Mm-hmm.
right now, if you're saying there was no coercion, no nothing, you've educated yourself. If your country needed you, would you go back?
And they got too many young people out there. I ain't going nowhere.
Anywho, the realist, right now,
No.
knowing what you okay, thank you.
I don't even got to hear it all.
Yeah.
Lloyd be acting like he ready to run for office tomorrow.
Now,
No,
I can't say now. What I'm not going to do is just bash the army completely because it's
No.
provided and done great things for my family.
I believe that the
But-
military has some great aspects to help a multitude of people.
Military hasn't grown with the times.
No, but I have a cousin that I believe that without the military, especially specifically the Marine Corps, my
Mhm.
cousin would not be here with us to this day. I believe that wholeheartedly. I don't know how they made this man whole. I do not know how they helped him heal himself. I don't want to delve into that conversation with him because he obviously isn't ready to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw a positive change in him. So I am not anti-military.
No, I didn't think that.
I am not. But my thing is, I have noticed that in certain parts of the country, they go into predominantly POC or low-income schools and recruit children.
Yes.
Yes.
They
True.
go in and just like with you, the realist, they kept coming back.
Mhm.
And even me, as an immigrant queer woman, they kept coming after me, and I'm like, I don't meet your qualifications.
Mhm.
Like, and they're like, oh, well, you can get your citizenship quicker if you join us. Yeah,
Here's
well,
what's going to make the
but
POC
my thing is, I'm like, I have epilepsy. I don't qualify. Please leave me alone.
just
and
don't
they
tell it to
kept-
the doctor. You're right.
And that's what they kept telling me, and I'm like, so
That's that
the
recruiting.
flashbang back and forth during combat.
Yeah.
Should I fall out? Y'all gonna be cool with that?
See, but yes, I will tell you this though, right? From 1997, from joining Be All You Can Be, past Army of One to now, what is it? Army Strong. I can
Is
tell
that
you.
be all you can be? Is that what you're talking about?
No. I'm saying these are the models that the Army has changed in.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Right.
Okay.
'Cause I came in with the Be All You Can Be generation. I think the realist. I think you came in when it was the Army of One.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just changed over.
And then it was Army Strong, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, when it was Be All You Can Be, there was a stigma against even having LGBTQIA personnel in the military.
Oh yeah, huge,
It was a big don't ask, don't tell.
huge.
If they found out, you would be discharged. To different administrations taking over, to where now military. I had a chaplain's assistant before I was leaving at the unit I was in, who was actually going through hormone therapy and the whole change process.
Yeah, but see, the thing about it is, if you were a woman and you were in high school, they didn't give a shit.
Well, of course not.
They would tell you, oh, this is how they were trying to recruit.
If
This
you're
is
a
how
man,
they were.
they put you in.
But hold on, this is how they were trying to recruit me, which I found utterly disgusting. Well, you'll be in a room with all women. You should be happy. But we do have a question. How do people get promoted? And you all can take that however you like.
You want that, or you want me to Which one you want to go? The realist?
How about I'll start and I'll let you finish it off.
Go for it.
So, how you get promoted? So, for one, it's a vague question. The only reason why I say that is because if we're still talking about the Army, then it's different than other branches of service, obviously.
Right.
So me, Army. So basically, E1, 3, 4, you're just doing your job. You know, you're learning, you're soaking everything up as a sponge. You're going to have your sergeants, you're going to have your leaders in front of you. You basically do what you're told, and you will make it to E4.
Well, explain to people what the rank is that you just described, so that they understand, like in layman's terms.
So E1, so you're talking, private to, PV2 to private first class. That's your E1 to E3 in order. The specialist is your E4. Sergeant is your E5, staff sergeant E6, sergeant first class E7. Then you got your master sergeant, first sergeant on E8, and then your sergeant majors and command sergeant majors on E9. Okay, now this is specifically for enlisted. E1 through E4, the promotion system works the same. Your leader says, hey, you're doing a good job. We're going to pat you on the back. You get into a time in service and a time in grade. Time in grade meaning you spent enough time at your current rank to move up to the next rank. So, and then time in service meaning that you've served enough years in the Army to make the minimum requirements of the next rank. So E1 through E4 is about the same. They have different time in service requirements and time in grade requirements. When you go to E5, you have to go to a board. That board consists of about 3 to 4 first sergeants and a sergeant major. And they will ask you all about military knowledge. They'll ask you very few things about your job. And then there's a few creeds that you have to memorize. One being the soldier's creed, one being the NCO's creed, the non-commissioned officer's creed. Right. And then you'll get up there and you'll say that. You do good on the board. It's not really about what you know. It's about your confidence level. And it's about if you know where to research the information that they asked you if you do not know the question. And if you can do that, then you'll make your E5. Same thing for E6. Okay, so then you go to another board. E7 is a little bit different. Now they're just looking at you on paper. And then I think, Lloyd, if you want to take this one, because this is where a lot of discrepancies come in at. And this is where race comes in at. This is where, if you are a Mason, came in at. And they had to change a lot of different board proceedings about E7 to E8 to E9.
So it matters if you're in the Army and if you're a Mason?
Oh, so I'm gonna let Lloyd. I know the reason because Lloyd, I'm talking about the DA photo.
Yeah, I'm not being facetious.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I'm going with this information as you all give it.
Absolutely.
And I never knew that there was a connection between the Masons and the Army.
Yes, strong connection. Very strong connection.
Sorry, I know a lot about history, Lloyd, but military history within the United States is
right. Okay,
there's too many branches for me to be able to do. Lloyd knows how I do deep dives, and there's too many branches for me to do a comprehensive, all around, one at a time deep dive. I have to do one branch at a time, and.
Yeah.
Please connect Lloyd, the dots.
When you finish that off, talking about race, sex, and the Masons was really what changed of what the promotion system is today for our higher enlisted. And just so you know, Lloyd, now I don't know how out of touch you are with current policies, but now you no longer have to have a DA photo, and you no longer have to say if I'm a male or if I'm a female.
Well, see, the realist, somebody just asked a question, and do women serving have the same opportunity? So I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay, so real quick, let me answer.
You don't have to be quick. Take your time and explain it how you explain it.
I'm going to ask Lady Bird's question. Women have a great opportunity to serve and to get promoted. There was a time, believe it or not, when women were not in combat arms. They could not serve the same type of jobs as males because they felt that women could not do those different jobs. And now that they have integrated, they're trying to find out that some of these women are actually doing their jobs in an outstanding manner, just as well as males, and in some jobs better.
Hold on, wait just a minute. So I'm gonna let you finish, but we could be slaves right beside you, but we couldn't be in combat right beside you.
It was a psychological thing for a while, Taz. And what I mean by a psychological thing is, if yourself and the realist were in combat with me, and if he was shot in the abdomen and you were shot in the
Excuse me,
arm,
sorry.
and you were shot in the arm because you're a female, they felt it psychologically that even though he had a worse wound, I would go dress you because you're a female. Just hear me out.
But
That was
no, I get what you're saying, and I understand that. But do you get my mindset? Like we could be slaves right beside each other and be lynched and beat at the same rate.
I get your mindset, but I'm just trying to say in the mindset of going out to fight combat, and you know when you actually trust me, I'm telling you right now, we would do 12-mile road marches. That's a backpack on your back. You're marching for 12 miles.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Oh no, you'll literally see a young female getting tired. Guys will run to their aid and try and put her backpack on their back and try and be like, you know, won't even let her try and muscle it out. There's times where people will cheat on things for females and not let them muscle it out. Because that's just how you have the male savior. Males feel like they always have to go save the female.
Yeah, but males feel like they have to save the attractive female. Let's be real.
And that is very much what it is. Now
That is very real.
Very real, correct.
Because if you find an unattractive female,
they won't help her for nothing. You're right.
You know what? Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Because this is the first time I've had men say this, and it is true.
It's true.
Because if a man feels that a woman is unattractive, they will leave her on the side of the road.
Okay.
But if a man feels that a woman is attractive, then all of a sudden that woman is the damsel in distress.
Okay,
even if she just needs a second to regain herself, no different than, correct me if I'm wrong, aren't there times that men need a second to regain themselves?
Taz, look up the story of Shoshana Jackson. That's all I got to say.
No, you told me that before, but I'm saying.
I never told you the story. You go look at the story of the female when the war first kicked off.
Yeah, you told me on part one, and I did. But what I'm saying, with my question, isn't there a time, whether in the military or outside of the military, where a man just needs a moment to recompose himself, take a deep breath, and carry on?
No, he's a weakling, and he's not strong enough to be with you. If you show like that.
No, I'm not saying how society sees him.
No,
I'm saying in reality. I'm saying take everything else away. You as a man, have you ever been working out, taking a hike or whatever, where you need to take a minute to regather yourself to complete the task? Has that ever happened?
To myself?
Have you ever needed to take a minute, catch your breath, get some water, do whatever? Has that ever happened?
Yes, all the time.
Okay, so if that's happened to you, why is that negatively looked at women?
It's not negatively looked at women. Hear what I just said. The way that they looked at it was, and I told you it's a psychological thing, how they were perceived in combat, not peacetime, in combat. If we know that we have this ruck on your back, you have this backpack filled with weights, and you're walking down, and they're not waiting on no one.
No, I get what you're saying, but I do realize the military is heavily embedded in different sociological and psychological studies. And if men sometimes need a moment to take a breath, drink some water, regroup themselves, why can't women have a minute to drink some water and regroup themselves?
If we're in that ruck and a man has to take a minute to regroup himself, he's looked at as one of the weakest links, and we got to keep going. If a woman does it, they want to help her.
Do you see the issue in that?
Yeah, I've been saying that.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm pointing. That's all I'm pointing out for the viewers. That's all I'm saying. It's like we can't go against, because the thing about it is, especially in the United States, because we know I wasn't born here. So I've gotten a chance to experience how people view military, police, etc. outside of the United States. They respect them, but it's not like in the United States where people worship the military and just expect godlike things out of the military. Like as soon as you enlist and you get accepted in, oh my God, you're invincible, you're not going to die, you all of a sudden become Captain America. Because let's think about it. There are people who view you all as that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they use you as pawns. But when you need their help, they aren't there to help you. Let's be real about it. And they don't, and I use Captain America as an example for a reason, because they see Captain America as white, just like they see the military as white. That's why you see so many white supremacists going, oh, the South will rise again. We'll defeat you all, because they act as if Black and brown people are not in the military, as if Black and brown people don't have respect for the country, as if Black and brown people have not sacrificed their lives, their families, their bodies, their mentalities, their emotions.
So that goes back. So I want to say two things, and one of them is going to be on the mentality of what you all have been talking about, of a man helping a woman, right? So some of that is not military grown. That is. I feel I had those morals beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
When you grow up and you see that on TV, your dad, your mom, your aunt, your grandpa, whoever is saying, hey, you don't hit a woman. You don't do this. Hey, if you see a woman, she got a bag of groceries, she drops some on the ground. Yeah, I'm going to go help her out and pick those groceries up. Nowadays, it might seem kind of creepy and you might not want to do that anymore. But, that's the type of person
if
I
you
am.
see me, come on up and help, because I ain't carrying that shit in.
But then you go into the military and then you have those sets values. So now this is where me and Lloyd were exposed to at different times of the military. Okay. So women were not allowed in combat arms initially. So we never had to deal with it. You never had to look at a woman. Matter of fact, we were told to stay away from women. It was hounded to us. Hey, you got no business talking to her. What are you talking to her for? She ain't your unit. They look down upon a guy talking to another woman that's in the service.
All male units. Yep.
It's all male units. So you got that mentality. And now all of a sudden, change like that. You got a female in your unit. Now you're like, oh, well, damn, how can I talk? How am I supposed to talk? And the Army prepared us for that, sort of saying like, hey, you might not want to talk about that. And also that goes back to Taz in your remarks, because, well, why don't we think about that when other men in our unit? If you're talking about just language, but like I said, I think some of those core values come back to that, and how you're raised, and then the military kind of really reinforces it, especially if you're in combat arms.
Exactly. I agree with you, because there are too many people in the United States that worship the military, and then they get into the military, and then they're led by people who worship the military and perpetuate it down.
Right. And then the second one that I wanted to talk about was going back to recruiting, and then the POC schools. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
USAREC is in charge of that. Okay. So USAREC is I call them the mafia. Right. And I think anybody that's been a recruiter will agree with me. But they are very smart in their tactics. So when Lloyd joined the Army, I guarantee he didn't see a black man on TV in a service uniform and be all you can be Army, like you pointed out. It's all white people. And that's why the people of the South always socialize that with, or prioritize that, saying, oh, we're South rise again, blah, blah, whatever the hell they say nowadays. Right. So, and then, when I went to recruiting in Cleveland, and I said, my sergeant major asked me, said, hey, where do you want to recruit at? I said, Cleveland. He literally told me I was not the right color to recruit in Cleveland. So what does that mean? So it's demographic. Now, when you look at it on the aspect of people growing up, and if you have grown up with just whites your whole life, I don't know how that's even well, I don't know. I'll change that up, because the South is pretty bad.
Real quick, Wes. Real quick. Yeah. Hey, Taz, I see you answer a question over there. It depends, because if you come in, back when I came in, if those siblings signed up together to be on the late entry program and to go with each other, they'll actually keep them together. Just like they would if two buddies used to sign up, they would keep them together until they went separate ways. But a lot of times, if two buddies or even two brothers signed up together, they go basic training together, they go to school together, they sign up for the same job, and they can almost both also get the same duties.
Yeah, they do that until it's time to be deployed, and then they intentionally separate them. And I know this for a fact because two of my cousins that are twins, They were able to go through everything together in the Marine Corps.
So
And
technically,
I'm talking about from the Marine Corps standpoint.
Okay.
So I
they
think
were
it's the
able
same
to go through
program.
everything together
Yep.
until it was time to be deployed, and they intentionally sent them separate because, and their reasoning was, the emotional attachment would make them too attached to each other, and they couldn't think about their brethren.
So there is a program.
And unfortunately, neither one of them came back.
Well, that's different from what I've seen.
That's why I said I'm speaking from a Marine Corps aspect.
So a lot of people misconceptualize what it means by the program when they get enlisted together. So it's only for a year. It's only a year stabilization. That's the only thing the Army on my aspect. So it's only 1 year that they stay together, and training counts. Yep. So if you're going through basic training, you're talking 7-8 weeks gone. You go to AIT, you're talking about, depending on your MOS, your job, it could be 8 weeks, it could be 42 weeks gone. And then once you hit that 52-week mark or that year mark, it's over. You know, that program is done, and then they can separate you.
And Phyllis is correct. She said that's for the safety, so parents don't lose 2 sons.
Well, it all depends. It all depends.
And the thing about it is, no, it really doesn't depend, because
yes, it does. I'm telling you, I've been in a unit where 2 brothers were in, and I'm telling you, I've been deployed with 2 brothers in the same unit, same brigade, same battalion.
And I also know people lie about things, because my grandfather, but my grandfather came over here before the rest of us. And you know why he didn't get drafted into the Vietnam War?
That was based off of Vietnam standards, yes. That's how they had it during Vietnam. I'm talking about now in a all volunteer army.
Hear me out. His brother had to be institutionalized because of, we're not even going to get into everything that happened to his brother, where he could not live on his own. My brothers that were recruited at the same time, that agreed to go initially, they would not take those 2 brothers because they were graduating in the same year. And because both of them wanted to be in the same arm of the American military. And I was sitting there when the recruiter said, one of you has to make a decision. They couldn't take both of them.
Sounds like to me the recruiter was lying.
Exactly. I was about to say that. I'm telling you right now that.
Sounds like to me the recruiter was lying.
Taz,
somebody didn't pass the test.
Right. I've had 2.
They both passed. No, trust me, they both passed. But the thing about it is,
no, Taz. I've had 2 soldiers work under me that were brothers in the same unit. That's what I'm trying to say. All that stuff that I'm telling you, all now during Vietnam and everything, they were sitting there saying, "Oh, there has to be an heir." This is where you can say one's not going to go because
Sole survivor.
Sole survivor, exactly.
Yeah. So Sole survivor was still intact.
So, in fact, I was in a unit where one of the identical brothers went over a bridge. The other brother knew his brother was on that. He actually said, Sergeant K, was my brother on that? I'm like, I don't know. After we got the call and we got the number, and we found that his brother was on the striker that went over the bridge in Diyala, Iraq. The thing is, his brother, I don't know what it is. The first deployment, his brother was in a catastrophic accident, killed everybody in it. His brother came out with a scratch. They went off a 50-foot bridge in a striker, and his brother only had a concussion. We could not believe it. The second time they deployed together, this happened. So what I'm trying to tell you is it's not always like we're going to take one and take. They've always taken every number. The Army's about numbers when you deploy. They're going to take everybody. No one gets to stay back just because they're the brother of someone else. That's just how it is. It's all about numbers. And they don't care if that's your twin brother, if that's this, that's that.
There's a whole lot of people who've gotten a whole lot of letters.
Yeah.
That would disagree with you.
But I can tell you, I lived it. I mean, I lived it. I was.
And I'm telling you, there are people on the flip side. So I guess there's a weird medium within everything. And I'm going to say within everything, because I have worked for companies that have told me definitively these are the rules, and that I've learned that there's been people that have been able to get past those rules. You get what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying, but
So I think I'm
well,
getting one side of the spectrum. You're getting another side of the
they
spectrum.
do not always separate them. That's what I'm telling you right now.
I,
They could, but I'm telling you,
that's not what I'm saying. I said I'm getting one side of the spectrum. You're getting another side of the spectrum. And both of those spectrums are working towards the same goal.
yeah. Now there's another question in there that someone asked. Now, when it comes to family members like that, if a brother outranks another brother, they will not put them in each other's command. That's not how they'll be.
I knew that. That's why I bypassed that.
Yeah, you can't do that. But now
let's address this question. If a soldier is a higher rank, can he or she have friends or family members underneath him or her?
No, that's what I just said. If they know that they're friends and family members, they're not going to put them under them.
So then they would be moved.
So I don't think so much as friends. Family would probably be definitely split.
Not friends. Friends, you'll be friends all the way up. So
because you're going to make friends everywhere. But well, I call them acquaintances. You have very few friends in the service. So a lot of people in the service, they confuse the word. Well, I think everybody does in the whole world, but they confuse what a friend is and what an acquaintance is, and then what a professional acquaintance is. And I think there's a difference, right? Acquaintance is somebody you might see somebody at the gas station. That's an acquaintance. He ain't your friend, but they know you, but you stop there all the time.
But my thing is, you can work with somebody for 20 years and have casual conversations like, oh yeah, me and the family went to the lake. You're not friends. Y'all just had. But my thing is, I think it goes back to the original question. If you're going to say that they separate siblings, when do they finally separate siblings?
Like you just said, if they sign up together
after the year,
right after 1 year, they can go separate directions. One key orders here, one key orders there. But I've seen them go to the same duty station.
Yeah.
Based
maybe different units, but same duty station.
Different unit, but same duty station.
But hold on, explain to people what a duty station is. I know what it is, but you got to realize the viewers don't.
Okay,
and I don't want people to be confused.
Okay, a duty station is a military installation. Two brothers can go to the same installation, but they're not guaranteed to be in the same unit. Now, if you go to a certain place where, like. I wouldn't say Fort Sill because there's a lot of artillery units there. And now that they've made a lot of MOSs come together, they could go different places. But at a time, certain duty stations only had so many billets for certain jobs. And if they both were the same job and they go to that duty station, they might find each other within the same battalion, within the same company, almost down to the same unit. Now, same squad, they will try and back them up and say, and when I say same squad, they can actually both be in Alpha Battery, but one might be in 1st platoon, one might be in 2nd platoon. So they're still that close to each other. Now, as you go up, if you're in the same battalion, one might be in a battalion of 600 over here. The other one might be in a battalion of 600 over here. But when that battalion deploys, both of them will go together in that same battalion because they usually don't deploy people as regular small units as far as like just a headquarters. Now, I just wanted to address real quick because I know we don't got much time, but we're talking about the promotion. And Wes had wanted me to talk about the different racism, and I know you want to talk about the different parts of the Masonic lodges and stuff like that.
But you have to realize, you know how I am. We can always do another part, so don't feel rushed.
Oh, I don't feel rushed. I just wanted to. I didn't want to deviate too far from that because it seemed like that was something that y'all wanted to find out about.
But I'm just saying, if you need more time,
I just
want to do another part.
Come back to it because that was a question. Or that was a point of entry that we had. And so as Wes had eloquently stated about getting promoted from E1 to E6. So now let's explain my name, DA Select. Okay, so DA Select.
Yes, please.
Right. DA Select means Department of the Army Selected. I came up with this name when I was playing Call of Duty. I had made the Sergeant First Class list. That means Sergeant First Class and above. You have to go, but your packet has to go between a selection board, and that selection board will tally up scores of your profile, your NCOER, your rated scheme, all the different things you've done, and that's how you get selected to make Sergeant First Class. That's the same way you make Master Sergeant, and that's the same way you make Sergeant's Major. So what happens is you have a board file that goes up throughout through the military. In fact, if I look right here, I guarantee I could grab one of mine. But you have a file, you have your different NCORs, and your NCORs are scored. Now, this is where they say they play the game, the racism game. They used to look at your name. And based off of, just like when you get that phone call for an interview, off of historical names, if you don't have a DA photo, because back in the day, some people didn't have DA photo, but if they look at a name like Peter, John, Ralph, those names were getting promoted faster than Dante, Demetrius, and just other historically black names. They got promoted faster than them.
So it was quicker than Tyrone.
Correct. Quicker than Tyrone. Now, after they started, so then they actually started at one point, now they actually started putting your race on there. Black, white, Caucasian, Hispanic, Native American, whatever it may be. And then what happens is then they came down, they reorganized and said, hey, we have to start promoting everybody fair across the numbers. Well, as they started promoting people, if you look at the numbers, minorities were still not represented in the military the same way, because there's always ways to get around to say that they were trying to get the best select. Because now these promotion boards, as they're scored, this is where you would say if you stand in your DA photo a certain way, that they know that you are a Mason. Masons have their undercover ways of talking to each other, and how to stand in your uniform and how to stand in your DA photo so another Mason can see it and say, I'm gonna promote this person because he's my brother.
So it's an undercover way of keeping the majority of white military personnel promoted.
Well, not that, because this was even how black people snuck into promotion systems.
But no, what I'm saying is if the vast majority of the military, just like the vast majority of the United States is white, the vast majority of Masons would be white. So the vast majority of promotions would be white, because the vast majority of people knowing that stance would be white.
There's different
Masons, because once you get to your Prince Hall Masons, you're talking about 3-letter Masons compared to 4-letter Masons.
But what I'm saying, if the majority of people in the United States are white, the majority of people who would rise to these outstanding ranks in order to know the stance to get to these in-standing ranks would be white, wouldn't that systemically raise them above other people that may have been better qualified that were people of color?
Oh, that's a fact. I hear what you're saying. Yes. If you look at the United States Army, the Army still outnumbers Caucasians to any other race by a lot. So if you look at it, yes, it does. So therefore, they're going to have they are going to have a higher number of people get promoted. But that's what I say. But when you look into the numbers,
technically speaking, too, Hispanics as well.
Right, Hispanics also. But
because you can list yourself as a white Hispanic.
No, but hear what I'm saying. But if you look into the numbers, if you look into the numbers, like if I say there's 11% African Americans in the military, those numbers of promotion do not reflect 11%. And that's where you get the racism part of it, is that the number of black people that get promoted do not reach their percentage the same as Caucasians will actually get over promoted. And I'll tell you right now, after females came in, and I don't knock it, I love it, but females took up a lot of promotion too from.
Okay, can you stop calling us females and just call us women, please?
Okay, women. Okay, women. But I'm just trying to say, women also promotion had also skyrocketed up, because now No,
I get that. That's why I'm saying with the chain that the both of you have explained. If you're saying, if you're a Mason, you're more likely to be promoted. But who's more likely to become a Mason first?
No. Okay, so that's the thing. That's the stigma. In the military, it is overran by Prince Hall Masons more than is. Now, are there white Masons?
So explain what a Prince Hall Mason is.
So you got to go all the way back to the historical about who Prince Hall was, who wanted to become a Mason, but because he was a black man, he could not become a Mason. If you talk to most Masons, they'll tell different stories about Prince Hall, such as The party started because of Prince Hall. He was trying to smuggle himself over to go to England so he can pledge and become a Mason. And the tea that they were spilling into the thing was not about taxation. The tea was trying to find him inside one of them barrels. So I'm just trying to say, because they wanted to stop him from going over to England to pledge and become a Mason.
And he wasn't even in a barrel. He was in a box.
Right. I'm just trying to say, I'm just saying these are all the different stories you'll hear. Well, yeah. Prince Hall ended up becoming the first Black Mason. And so when Prince Hall became a Mason, now you have your I forget the name for there's a long C name for but let's just say your ancient order of Masons, which is your white Masons. It's actually another C word, I forget what it's called, but then you have your Prince Hall Masons. Now I'm not a Mason, so I really can't speak on them too much, but I seen the culture in the military on how if you were a soldier and you went to the lodge and you were a Mason, I watched soldiers, black and white, mostly black, believe it or not, make the next rank before.
Yeah, I mean, you have regular Masons, Supreme being Masons, Continental Freemasons, Prince Hall Masons, Master Masons, Apprentice, Journeymen, etc., etc.
Well, Master Mason could be all of them, but I'm just saying. But the Prince Hall Mason.
Oh no! A Black man cannot be a Master Mason.
I don't know who told you that. I can tell you there's worshipful masters and Master Masons that are Black.
There are Master Prince Hall Masons, but the standard.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about a Master Mason is in all those ranks, in all of them. A Master Mason,
historically,
Mason,
they are not.
Yeah, a worshipful master, a Master Mason.
No, not a worshipful master, just Master Mason. There are different degrees where, yes, you can be a person of color. I'm talking about historically the traditional Master Mason. We cannot be, just like they are now including women into the Masonic temples.
I just know there are 33 degree, 33 degree, which is the highest level you can be up to Shriner and become and remember, males can be Eastern Stars. So I'm just saying, I know males who walked all the chambers, all the houses, have been on the square forever, who love it, and they are Master Masons. Now, I hear what you're saying, that a historically known Master Mason can't be Black, but I know Prince Hall Masons who are Master Masons.
Because they're Prince Hall Master Masons.
That's what I just said. I know Prince Hall Masons who are Master Masons.
Yes, they're Prince Hall Master Masons.
In that same aspect, though, how many white people are in Prince Hall Masons?
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. There are different. There are different categories.
Few, but yes. So so that's what, and just to speak on that just a little bit, I was been offered to several different lodges, and I just honestly, I was so confused on the stance, because one time I'd go to one and the congregation would be totally Black, and I have nothing wrong with Black people, but I'm like, why is it like that? Same thing. I would go to another congregation, it's all white. Why is it like that? Why can't we just all blend?
Because historical Masons do not recognize Prince Hall Masons. All Masons don't recognize.
No, but I get what you're saying, the realist. I get what you're saying, because since 2002, they've had this new reckoning that we're going to invite everybody into the core. Men, women, Black, yellow, green, polka dot, whatever. But then when you get invited or you go to someplace, you realize that's not what they mean. That's not what they mean at all. There are still segments that are trying to protect their origins, their origin stories. So they may equate a name to something, but the originating name doesn't mean the same when they go, oh, I'll let you attach this to this other name, and I'll be cool with you attaching this to this other name, because it's a subset. It's no different than we have the Pan-Hellenic Council, and then we have the Divine Nine.
Well, I'll tell you this.
We're all sororities and fraternities, but you can't just be in the Pan-Hellenic Council and be Divine Nine. Do you get what I'm saying? You can give yourself the same titles that we have in the Divine Nine, but that doesn't mean you're Divine Nine.
Well, I'll tell you this. There are more white Prince Hall Masons than there are Black historic Masons, period. Because Just
That's
like,
because Black people are more accepting
right, and that's what I say,
and more inclusive
right, because
than
there's
colonizers.
right, because there's nothing we've ever done that hasn't been inclusive. That's all I'm saying. So
And that's what I'm saying. It's like, yes, we have those, but it's not the original category. We
now,
made a whole nother category to be inclusive. The original category, have we really been accepted into? Just like the
you can't be
military,
accepted.
the military
That's why
said,
you got Prince Hall. You
but
can't be accepted.
and that's not the original category. That's my point. Just like the military has always said, we'll take enslaved people, we'll take Black and brown people, we'll take everybody so that we can be the superpower within the United States. But do they give everybody the same respect?
It's a tough one. That's a tough one.
It all depends on how much you're into it. Yeah.
No,
Yes.
it's not a matter of how much you're into it, because whether you're into it to a little bit or a lot of it,
Well,
or you respect it.
reason why I say that, because
my thing is, if I begin a conversation with you, do you care if I'm in a conversation with you for 2 minutes or 2 hours, whether or not I respect you or not?
No, hear what I'm saying. There is a growing number of ancient Masons who do now accept Prince Hall Masons.
I didn't say anything about the Masons. I'm talking exclusively about the military.
Okay,
that's why I said it doesn't matter if I talk to you for 2 minutes or 2 hours. Do you care if I gave you respect at the 2-minute mark, or do you care if I waited to the 2-hour mark to give you respect?
Okay, so in the military, right, we have these things called Army values. And in the military, our definition of respect is totally different from the world's definition of respect.
But you was a Black man. If I came in calling you out of your name, would you care if I did that at 2 minutes in, 2 hours in, 2 days in, 2 months in, or 2 years in?
No, because I'm telling you, the way we do it, the minute you disrespect.
No, I'm saying as a Black man.
As a Black man, in or out, the minute you disrespect me, you disrespected me. So
it doesn't matter at what point I do that. So what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter what your rank is. It doesn't matter how much your time is. Disrespect is disrespect.
Yes. And
yeah, but it's dealt with differently though. So no one in their right mind is going to come out for Lloyd if he's higher rank. They're not going to disrespect him. They're going to silently disrespect him, and that's what's scary.
I understand that, but my thing is, you all do realize there are people that are so conditioned to guzzle the glizzy of the military that they make excuses, that even when that disrespect comes up at the 2-hour mark, the 2-month mark, the 2-year mark, or the 20-year mark, they make excuses for it.
I think they do.
And is that still okay?
No, it's not okay. And I think that's what the Army's trying to get behind. So the Army's, remember, I said from the start of the broadcast, the Army is moving in the right direction. They're just dragging their feet on this one. And racism is part of that. That's the biggest one they're dragging their feet on, because this is a world issue. It's not a United States issue. It's a world issue. So, I mean, there's still people today that are slaves, right? I mean, today. And but here, but just going back to it, let's not go on that rant, but here in America, right? So the Army's dragging their feet on that, but they are moving in the right direction, trying to take steps to make it less racist. I mean, one thing was like when Lloyd was talking about the photos, no longer, you can't even say, I don't have to give you my photo. Now, yes, if you have a traditionally Black name, they could probably still discriminate against you with that. And if you have a traditionally white name, you might move up. If you have a female name, or woman, a woman's name, then she might get promoted faster, because women right now are getting promoted the fastest in the military. And some of those reasons actually make sense, because they do not have women right now don't have a lot of high echelon people to represent them for when the young women are coming in. So they need, if they're a superstar, they're a superstar, get promoted. And then she gets promoted, right? And then the men are like, well, why? Oh, she only got promoted because she was a woman. No, it's because she was doing her job and she did it very well, for one. And I want to believe that, but now I also believe that some women probably do get promoted just because they're a woman, and they're so thirsty to have those higher ranks to represent these young women that are coming in. They need somebody in that position.
And I agree.
True, but the women that are being promoted over everybody else don't look like me, and that's not representation, and that's not motivation for women. And I can tell you that is not motivation for any woman anywhere. We don't look for mediocrity. We look to excel, for excellence, and we look for the bar to be set high for us to leap up and jump above that bar. I can't speak for men because I've never been a man. I don't know what you all look for as motivation. I'm not going to pretend like I can or speak on that.
Now, where do you get that number from? Where do you get that number from that you just said?
Regarding women?
The women that look like you aren't getting promoted.
I said the women that look like me aren't getting promoted just to say, hey, we need a woman in this position.
No, but what he's trying to say is the Army is accelerating promotions of female, which we think is good, regardless of.
I wasn't talking about my thing is, I'm not talking exclusively like about the Army. And I've said that from the beginning.
I know that, but even in all services, because they're not represented at the top the way they should. So
I said, when you willy-nilly just promote a woman who looks like me, how often does that happen? How often does somebody look at somebody like me and go, you know what, I'm going to promote her just to make her the poster child for this movement?
So sometimes that is actually happening because the Army is trying to get in front of it.
No, Lloyd, that is not what's happening. And we're not going to put out that disinformation. That is not what's happening because we actually talk about this every Saturday. So we're not going to put on the front for right here.
Yes.
We have looked at, no, we're not going to do
something that I live. And the realist is trying to tell you also. You know
what black woman in the military has been promoted to the highest rank to instill inspiration in other women in the military? I'll wait for a name.
We just had a change. Go ahead.
I'm about to say I couldn't give you a high official as a man, to be honest. I mean, other than the top generals, but I can tell you there are women in the White House right now that are black that are generals. So
the other day.
Yes, and they were promoted not to. My thing is, y'all.
No, I feel like they're promoted by the wrong reasons. I think that they're promoted for the poster child.
No, y'all are not hearing what I'm saying. They're not promoted to give morale to other women.
No, they're promoted for their agenda.
And that's my point. I didn't say that they weren't promoted. I said they weren't promoted to give morale to other women. That's what I said. And when we get done with this broadcast and you go back and rewind it, that's what I said. Women who look like me are not promoted to give morale to other women.
And another thing
now, it doesn't mean that they're not promoted for an agenda. They're not promoted for morale. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, no one's really promoted for morale, to be honest. The Army doesn't.
There are women that are promoted for morale.
I mean, the services really don't care about your morale. I mean, as long as you're doing your job, they don't care what you feel like.
Oh, no. When you're in the service, they don't care. But every time a woman in the service, especially a white woman, is promoted, here's one thing that you men don't know. All of us women, we get mailers in the mail. We get flash emails that we're just supposed to support this woman because she made it to this rank.
Oh, I believe that.
Do you see how much they try to divide us? And y'all don't even know what we are bombarded with. Because if a white woman is promoted, we get 50 million. And you know the humongous postcards. I call them humongous postcards. Well, they'll have her picture plastered on one side and whatever service record they want us to know on the other side. We
Mhm.
get emails that we're like, we didn't even sign up for. But because we're women, because we
Mhm.
have a feminine sounding name,
Hmm.
we get these emails saying that we're supposed to back them through everything.
Now let me
And
ask you this.
Jesus Christ, don't let them run for office. It
Right.
gets even worse.
Right. I was
It
about to
gets
say, like,
even-
politics get even more crazier.
It gets even worse. They make it seem like you are not a woman, that you hate being a woman if you don't go for this woman because she had military service and she rose to this rank. And I'm like, first of all, I haven't even gotten through all this shit that you done sent to me to even verify if this shit is true.
I
And now
believe
you
that, though.
telling me I got to vote for her just because, but it's always a white woman. Now, when they need a black woman to be in a certain position, will they push her? But not like they push that white woman. We don't get a bunch of mailers. We don't get a bunch of emails. We don't get a bunch of commercials. We don't get a bunch of robocalls.
Okay, but
It might be because that black woman wants to do it right and not like the white woman.
right, but I will tell you this though.
That part, the realist,
But-
that
right.
part, and
But
that's my
all
only
that-
thing. I'm not
right.
saying that
But
women
the
are
military-
promoted or whatever. I'm saying what we are presented as civilians
Mm.
Correct.
is that when women are promoted for the wrong reasons, what's presented to us are
You gotta
the
get
white
behind them.
faces, not people who look
Right.
like me.
But we're talking about military, and military is different. That's all I'm saying. Military is
They even tell us about the military. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They send us this stuff. If a white woman gets promoted to sergeant, sergeant major, general first class, we get mailers as women. We get these mailers if they're white. If they're not white, bupkis.
I mean, hold on, wait a minute. So you telling me if a woman gets promoted to sergeant major, you get a mailer?
Yep. I've
I
even
don't
taken
believe-
I've
I
taken
don't
pictures
believe
and
that.
even I've taken pictures of these fucking mailers and put it on my Instagram for years now. Because
Okay.
I'm like, why the fuck are you sending me this shit? I'm
Yeah,
not
I
in
don't-
the military.
Right. I don't understand why they would even send that to civilians. But you're
But
right.
my
We don't
thing
get to see
is-
that. But
They think the thing about it is they perpetuate this stuff. So they make it because you have to realize the white woman for other women have been the standard in this country since this country was colonized. And they try to perpetuate that. And they may not tell you, but I'm telling you, as a civilian immigrant woman who gets these mailers every fucking day, I'm like, I'm not in the military. Why am I getting this? Why do I need to know this person got promoted? And I've had several conversations with other women who have not been in the military, not military associated. They get the same fucking mailers. This is the shit that we get that y'all don't see. As you're serving your country.
I'm not in the military no more, and I ain't got a mailer yet.
Are you a woman?
My wife is, and I check the mail all the time.
I mean, if that happens all the time, how come you're the first woman I'm hearing it from then?
Yeah.
Why don't more women need to speak up about that?
Yeah, because I'm like,
Well, first of all, I speak up on a lot of things.
no, but you're saying that
I don't know why other women have, and I don't know who you're associated with. I know
Right.
plenty of other women that speak up about it. I don't know if you know who they are, so I can't speak up on why you don't know.
Yeah.
All I can tell you is what I speak up on. Just like there are things that you all brought up tonight that obviously, because I asked y'all additional questions about that I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're going to have an exchange of information, I'm going to tell y'all from my side what I'm seeing. So you can now be aware. Just like you told me from your side, so I can be aware.
Well,
and if we both work together, I believe we can make some change. But if we sit here and go, oh, well, I didn't hear this, and I could tell y'all the same thing. But I'm not from your perspective. I've not been in combat. I have not been enlisted. I didn't sign up for shit.
Well, you know, just like
and you haven't been in my shoes. But what we can do is we can combine our notes, take this and go, you know what? I got more information. I got more information. And we can come together and make this shit better.
Okay, so remember when we closed up the last one, right? And Eddie, you asked for words, and Eddie had spoke, and someone asked a question. You know, would you want your children to join the military, right?
Oh, that was before closing, but yes.
Right, I said before closing, someone asked, would you want your children to join the military? And he was saying, and he said yes, because though there's flaws throughout all of them, throughout any service you go to, or even through civilian life, where you're gonna have racism in both. I think the military, I'm not gonna say they do the best job, because you can't eradicate it, because you can't stop a person from being what they are. Okay. But the military does a really good job working on and having those conversations in small groups. Now, like the realist said earlier, they didn't have those conversations when things were breaking out.
Nope.
In fact, I called him and we talked about it. We literally talked about it.
They never have those conversations when things are breaking out, because they need us to fight the war.
No,
that's traditional and historical.
No, we're talking about just the let's play this. The murder of George Floyd. We talked on the phone. I'm saying
I understand what you're saying, but historically and ancestrally, they need us to win any war. So no, they're not going to have those conversations at any point in time, because if you don't have the conversation at the beginning, you can't have the conversation at the middle.
But what we're saying is,
no, hold on. I disagree with that statement, and this is why. Right. So the Army had the same stance on it from the LGBTQT community. Right. So before, if you were bisexual, or if you are a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, you couldn't join the military. Right. Everybody knows that. But now they've changed their stance on that. Right. So they got in front of that. But guess what? That was the popular topic back then. Right. It was a very, very popular topic. Politics drives recruitment, and politics drives doctrine of what's going on in the military service.
Yes, slavery drove a lot of whole sort of shit, and the Army still didn't change their stance. They realized that they had to utilize us. That's why I say that they will utilize us, and they will not have the hard conversations until the topic at hand is already settled. Then they want to have the topic at hand as a discussion and put a Band-Aid over it. And that's historically correct.
Correct. Just not historically correct in the military.
Exactly.
It is historically correct in the military, because if it wasn't historically correct in the military, then why weren't black men freed when they joined the Army?
So I'm getting to
1787.
So I'm getting to that. So what I mean by that is, right, so because you know why? Because politics didn't care about black men then. That's why, right? Politics didn't care.
And what is the military driven by?
Politics. So that's why it changed when gay rights came out, right? And then they were able to join the military. The military got ahead and set that trend for the nation. Exactly. They're the one that openly came out and accepted, said, you know what? We were wrong on this stance. It openly admitted it.
And why did the military say that they were wrong in that stance? Let's back up and let's go historically regarding the stance and the court case that brought that to light. Why did that happen? Because it wasn't the military and it wasn't the politics that happened with that. So let's run that back.
Well, if it went to the court, it must have been pretty high, and then politics was involved. But so yes, it probably was a case. I'm not familiar with that case. I'm not, so I can't speak on it.
No. What when the military, honestly, and it was all politics, and I'll tell you, the politic was, because believe it or not, it was actually Barack Obama's term as president.
No, it actually wasn't. It actually started well before that, with a court case that had been argued through the lower courts all the way up to the Supreme Court for 12 years. And then it was finalized during Barack Obama's presidency. It had nothing to do with
Barack
Obama.
Owns the Supreme Court, though.
No, no one owns the Supreme Court. I really need people to understand how United States government and everything works. We're not going to do disinformation. We are not.
I know how it works.
Right.
And
that's
if
my major.
You do,
that's my major. But look, so are you going to tell me Supreme Court doesn't have political stances?
Oh my goodness. Okay, it can be your major all you want, but I have a master's in it. So are we really going to do this?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
than that.
Oh, we are?
Listen to what I'm trying to say. I'm asking a question here.
Go ahead.
What I'm trying to say is the military does a better job than others on the outside do when it comes to do it. The military always gets in front of the power curve and sets trends, such as the LGBTQ plus
LGBTQIA plus.
Same thing with them. Now, if you want to fast forward, what we were saying is the military did a bad job, like I was saying before we got here, in not bringing in. So after George Floyd was murdered, they seen all the protests in the streets. Me and him, we talked on the phone. I said, "What is your command doing?" Man, they doing nothing. Like, they are dropping the ball on that because they should have brought in all the African American soldiers, black, so even soldiers of all POCs, even white soldiers. They should have brought them all in and had open discussions. Because
I will say the best thing the military did was that testimony that you shared, Lloyd, on your TikTok platform.
Which one?
Where I don't want to get his rank incorrect. I cannot remember what his rank was, but that gentleman that was talking about introducing critical race theory and everything else.
That's General Milley.
Yeah, like I said, I did not want to get his rank incorrect because I mean no disrespect to anybody. That was the best thing that the military did. To be open and honest and say actual conversations need to be had and actual history needs to be taught. Because right now, what's being taught and what's being shown right now is just love for the military. But we are well over time.
Real quick,
we can have a part 3. So can you gentlemen just give me your final thoughts right now? Because we're like,
I'll go first. I'll go first, realist. Okay, so real quick, as I close, I will say this. The military is not just a culture, but it's also a climate. And when you get down to that climate, it comes down to real people. And real people have to have these real discussions in order to change that culture. And the military does a good job at the young leaders level in changing the climate that could then change a culture. Because it's pushed down from good leaders. Now, where there's good leaders, you're going to have bad leaders. Bad leaders who sow discord because we have bad leaders who are by nature Republicans. And if you look at white nationalism, it can go from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party, and it'll shift as time goes by. Right now, it's in the Republican Party, and there are a lot of command leaders who are in that party. They're not like General Colin Powell, who was in the Republican Party, but will call racism out and bullshit out the way he would. They don't.
Would he though?
Yes, he did. Colin Powell did all the time. Yes, he did. In fact, he went to the point where he was like, I disassociate with the Republican Party of today. Colin Powell will always call it out. And so, and just like this, General Austin was a great leader, but it took General Milley to say what he said because General Austin actually shied from the question. If you watch it, General Lloyd Austin was like, we're not even teaching critical race theory. We're not standing by it. It was General Milley who stood up and said, no, man, what the hell are you talking about? Let me talk. And he stole the show. So if you want to look at, if you really want to look at it, the strength of the military will always be in its junior leaders. And the junior leaders will always push that morale and motivation. And it's junior leaders that have conversations like me and the realest used to have on his porch. We have the realest conversations. A black man and white man, he will call out racism. I remember one time he told me about a sergeant major. He said, man, when you left office, he said a racist statement. Right then I knew I didn't like that guy because me and him was close. And he said, yeah. And then he talked, and if you look, he has a NASCAR thing up in there. And he was like, and he actually, what did he say? What was that statement he told you about me? About hanging out with me? What did he say?
he just plain didn't like you. I mean, he just didn't want me hanging out with you.
My thing is, and I mean no disrespect, you all keep saying what you talked about behind closed doors. When did you say this in front of people?
No, hear what I said.
So I said something directly to him.
Right.
No, that's what I'm asking. You're saying what you talked about behind closed doors.
You missed what I said. I said the conversation that me and him would have as leaders are the same conversation that happened down at, in other words, as junior leaders. We were junior leaders. Junior leaders had those conversations with our troops. Those are not just,
all I've heard is about the behind the scenes conversation. And I'm not being facetious.
I think you missed what I said.
I'm not being facetious. I'm giving you the opportunity to explain what you did for change. I'm not being facetious. That's why I said all I have been privy to is the behind the scenes conversations. Okay.
Listen to what I said. I said it takes junior leaders to change. Listen, to change.
No. You're not hearing what I'm saying. What did you do beyond these conversations?
That's what I just told you. It takes junior leaders to change the climate. What changes the culture? It's the
I hear that it takes them to change the climate. My specific question is, what did you do to change the climate? I'm asking a very specific question. What did you do to change the climate?
Listen, we made sure that our soldiers and those that served under us had those real conversations within our culture so we can change the climate. So us as leaders would talk to our junior soldiers about what's going on, about real situations, about real topics, because we're going to be the leaders of tomorrow, which is going to change the culture.
So your specific contribution was having conversations, because that's what I'm asking. I'm asking you as the individual. Okay. You did. That's what I'm saying.
The only thing you can do while you're in the military is have those conversations and make sure.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what you did. That's what you were able to do.
Or we call it hip pocket training, where you would actually sit them out under a bush. Hey, y'all, we're going to talk about this today. And we're going to talk about current events. How'd y'all feel about this when it happened? How'd y'all feel about that when it happened? Let's talk about this. If that was your brother, sister.
That's what okay. So you're limited. You're limited in the military as to what you can do. That's my point. That's what I'm trying to let people know. Because you have to realize, Lord, you have to realize the voice that you have now and how people see you now. So that's why I'm trying to pinpoint what you could do specifically in the military, because people see you now as a free entity and what you do. And I'm trying to separate it because I don't want people to look at you like, oh, well, he does this, and this. Why didn't he do this at that point? Do you get what I'm saying?
Right. I hear what you're saying. Okay. So the only way I can honestly explain that is if you look at iSpeak's platform, and he will scurry all the way to the line because there's a line that he cannot cross. So he does a great job at ensuring that he stays within the Uniform Code of Military Justice before he crosses. Me, I would have crossed because I know me. I would have crossed West Virginia.
This is why I could not have him on until he retired.
Look,
that's what I'm saying.
No.
While in uniform, all you can do is have conversations.
Right, but
you cannot lead a revolt. That is my point.
Yeah. I would call it
don't sit there and think that you watch this show and you can decide you're gonna get your fellow officers to lead a revolt. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to say.
Oh no, you can't. But I call racist.
I know that. Jesus, Mary. The realist. Do you get what I'm trying to?
Yeah. You cannot open if you're wearing this uniform, right? If you're wearing a uniform, you cannot openly discuss politics, and you will not openly discuss racism.
But I did it.
You can have the conversation
behind closed doors.
You are still wearing the uniform.
Can't do it.
Do not watch this show and decide you are going to lead a revolution.
It's not going to happen.
That's my point.
No, that's
You're
not
going to go get yourself killed and a bunch of other people. Don't do that.
Now you're gonna get yourself killed. You're gonna get yourself in, and you're gonna get yourself making big rocks into small rocks.
You're not going to get 20 years of service in. I promise you that.
Nope. But that's why, like I said, look at iSpeak's platform compared to how
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. My big brother just likes to give me a fucking migraine. The realist, Lloyd, be quiet. The realist, shut up. The realist, sweetheart, my lovely.
Damn Kansas City fan.
Shut up. The realist, my lovely. Give your final thoughts.
Yes. So my final thoughts are going to be pretty short and to the point. One is the
Thank Jesus, because my brother talked too much.
It's fine. The military is a place that has problems, but it still can do great things for the family and what you can do, you're going to get out of it, what you put into it. And yes, you're going to have to overcome some barriers. And yes, you're going to have to overcome some more barriers if you're a POC or if you're gay still. You're still going to have to overcome those barriers. But it can be done because we have red legislation that will help you along the way if you have to go that route and use it. The other one that I want to point out for closing remarks is this: what we're doing tonight. It's one, it's educational. Number two, it's 3 people or how many other people are in this chat of different ethnicities, different sex, different whatever. But we're here, we're having this conversation, we're getting educated from different points of view. And I know at some points it might seem that we were arguing. I promise you we're not arguing.
No,
that's
we're not.
called it. No, 100% not arguing. But you have to let that guard down of what you've been taught and force fed your whole life, and open your mind up, open what your thoughts of you are to the other side. Put yourself in that person's shoes or that person's boots, whatever, if they're still in the service or if they're not. You know, you can't see everything. You're not. So open forums like this is 100% can go a long way. And that's my closing remarks.
And
Right.
Gentlemen, I hate to keep asking this of you all, but every time we have this conversation, I feel like there's more to be discussed. So in a month, can we come back and dig deeper into this? Because I've kept track of some questions that we didn't even get to, but it's up to you all. I'm not the enlisted person. I'm not the retired vet. So it's up to you all.
Well, if
you all want to continue the conversation, we can. If you tell me I've said all I need to say, I respect that. But I'm realizing that, and just like the realist said, there is still more to be said. If you agree, we can continue this conversation in a month. If you don't, we can drop it right here where it is. It's up to you two gentlemen. You don't have to answer me tonight. Y'all can answer me over the next couple weeks as you think about it.
Well, Taz, I'm just gonna say, if we are gonna have it, let's change the topic then, because we were everywhere but racism in the military.
Well, we can just talk about the military in general.
Yeah,
we hit on some topics. We hit on certain topics. We hit on some pretty good ones.
We can just change it to U.S. military. If that makes you feel more comfortable. But I feel like there's more of a conversation. If you think that I'm wrong and there's not more of a conversation, please tell me. You don't have to tell me right now. You can think about it, whatever. If you agree that there's more of a conversation to be had, we can continue to have the conversation. It's up to you all.
I'm always down for a conversation.
I am too.
Oh, now he's always down for no. The realist, you don't
little brother.
understand.
You don't know Lloyd like the top.
First of all, he's my big brother, and he's gonna ream me on Saturday because I know I know how he's gonna play this on Saturday in the book club. So
I'm not gonna play it no way.
Oh, I'm gonna have jokes. I done already started writing jokes, so go ahead, because I'm gonna come in like Ali, like play with me.
Don't give it a dime piece.
Yeah, dime piece, man. You better watch out.
No. I'm gonna give you the sleeper in Manila. That's what I'm gonna give you. Keep playing with me.
Thank you for having me on again.
But do you all want to come back in a month and continue the conversation?
I I would love to. I need to talk to the realist though, because all the stuff he told me right now I never knew. I'm joking.
Yes, I think there's more. I think there's more discussion.
The realist, he just mad because behind the scenes he realized that you thought that I was the cute and cuddly one out of the sibling group. I know Mama Deborah is watching, and she gonna tell you I'm the. Oh shit, Frenchie watching. Never mind. Let me behave.
Yeah, so I do think there's more conversation to be had. We can go ahead and put that on the calendar, I believe.
Yeah, I'll put it into the calendar. We'll do this again in 1 month. Also, before we wrap, my final thoughts are I dropped my podcast tonight, Tastic Tuesdays, and tonight, some of you know, some of you don't know, I do have Cuban roots, and what's going on in Cuba does deeply affect me. It deeply upset me. So please check into that. The link is in my bio here on Instagram, on my Facebook fan pages, and on TikTok. It's Tastic Tuesdays. And the unrest in Cuba and the fact that they are recruiting teenagers for the army. And if these teenagers do not agree, they're shooting them in the head on sight. I'm not okay with. So,
wow. I didn't even know that was going on.
I neither.
I don't watch the news though. And nothing.
This isn't what I got from the news. This is.
No, I'm sure it's not. Yeah.
I have.
I'm gonna look into that. That's rough.
I don't want to get emotional right now, but
right.
My cousin and I had conversations with family members there earlier today. So, yeah. But I do thank you, gentlemen, and until next month. And thank you for agreeing to come back and talk to me. Love you both. Even though my brother ain't even looking up at me, and I'm all cute and cuddly today. Look at me.
My camera's up here, but you guys' face is right here.
No.
Look at your face.
The realist.
You're gonna get in trouble again.
Look, wait a minute. I'm all cute today and stuff. Look, I actually got dressed.
If I'm not up here, that does not mean I'm not looking. Your face is down here.
First, I ain't got pajamas on.
No, you see, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking dead at you. I'm looking dead at you.
I'm calling Mama Deborah as soon as I get off the fucking phone. You about to get in trouble. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit.
You're not calling nobody. She's at my sister's house in Florida anyway. She's not answering the phone. She didn't answer the phone for me.
Just because she don't answer the phone for you don't mean that she ain't gonna answer the phone. Anywho, each one reach one, each one teach one, and I'm about to get my big brother in trouble, y'all.
She ain't getting in trouble.
Keep talking shit. Keep talking. I'm gonna invite everybody. I'm gonna invite everybody to subscribe to my channel to class on Saturday so they can see you get in trouble.